we've been led to believe that we have to do our work and we have to dig deep and we have to understand everything that's ever happened to us. Doesn't matter. How are you feeling towards yourself? Are you loving yourself? And are you taking the actionable step to shift that voice in your head so it quiets?
Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. This week's episode is a recording from a complimentary event that I did in January. And I am going to be doing one of these fairly often. My intention is to help all listeners learn how to appreciate your brain, connect your intuition, and learn about the saboteurs and the sage, the wisdom side of us, as taught through the positive intelligence program. I am so grateful for the group that joined me this month, and I felt so inspired that I wanted to share it with everyone and say, hey, come on in, join us for the next one, which will be February 12th of this year. I hope to see you there. Please enjoy this recording of Align Your Mind.
Here she is. Thank you. So thank you to my guides that just like, can you follow up on what you said you were going to do? So this brain that you have is wired in a way in a 3-to-1 ratio for survival to joy. So that means that whatever you're experiencing in life, it tends to go more towards the, oh my goodness, what the heck? This could go wrong place in a 3-to-1 ratio. So is it any wonder that sometimes it takes a little bit of effort and energy to be in positive thought or to live in a place of self-command? So some of this is to help you be kind to yourself. And when you're having one of those moments or those days where you're like, oh, well, yeah, Josh, to your own brain, you could be like a 3-to-1 ratio. I'm hitting my numbers. Look at me go. And to relax a little bit, but also have an appreciation because it's also what keeps you from walking off a cliff or stepping in front of a car. Like we need these things to help us make smart decisions. So as we grow and as we begin to want to have more of a calmer interior, right? More of a self command, we don't want to be boring. This is not about being boring. And we don't want to be so calm that we don't have, a little heartbeat on our EKG monitor. We want excitement in life, but we don't want to be in the place of, chicken little, sky is falling, that kind of stuff that most of us were taught or conditioned into. Okay. It's not necessary to have that. So we want to create, I don't know about you, but I love having clarity and a sense of self confidence and self command and just feeling like capable. I may not know what to do, but I feel capable of whatever it is I'm about to try, even if my knees are not good, right? And scared to try that next thing. So I wanted to do some of these events, and they'll pop up pretty frequently in the complimentary. If you put free, everything goes kookabonkers on the internet. But in the complimentary mode, to help more and more people like yourselves recognize that we've most of us have been conditioned into a struggle to be human rather than an engaged in loving and appreciating the humor of being a human because it's kind of fun most of the time. So I want to leave you with actionable steps by the end of tonight. so that you are able to understand your brain a little bit more, but also recognize that you can and will if you do the work. I mean, there's no magic wand to any of this to shift out of that critic or that judge, or I call mine my inner biatch, out of that space into more of a, all right, that feels a little scary, or let me think about that a little bit more and I can give it a go. So every one of us share the internal judgment piece of it. Okay. It is again that survival instinct. When it's out of balance, your gifts don't get to show up. Like your natural effervescence for life doesn't get to be there. And I'm going to pop into chat. I would like you to stay here and listen to this, but I'm going to pop into chat an assessment that you can do. It's called the Saboteur Assessment to understand a little bit more about how you're wired and what you could look at and shift in order to be in a place of more belief in self. Okay. We all have the same saboteurs. Every one of us walking around share these things. I'd like for you to take this. It doesn't get recorded anywhere, it just gets sent to your email. But I'd like for you to take it when you're in a place of, this seems like a good time to take this. Don't take it when you're all bundled up in anxiety or, when you're overtired or something like that, because it will skew some of the results. So what you'll get back is pretty wild assessment of how you walk around in the world. For me, it was very affirming. I actually thought, how did somebody get a picture of my childhood? Like, how did they know the parents I grew up with? That is wild. And I believe in wild. I live in this intuitive space all the time. So go ahead and take it's free. Nobody's keeping your information. And you won't get emails from the company other than this assessment. Okay. Which I also love. So who here, show of hands or a wiggle of your body, has ever talked yourself out of something because you weren't ready? Okay. See, we have so much more in common than we do in differences. That's your brain's wiring. It thinks it's keeping you safe. Like it's a cute little protector. And we have to stop beating ourselves up so much. It's saying, "Oh, no, wait, you don't have all the information. If you don't do it perfectly, don't do it at all. Now, we'll do that later. I'll do that 5-letter word that could be a 4-letter word, right? We're gonna address that later." And this is what I'm talking about in becoming more aware of how your brain is there to help you and also how it just gets in the way. And it doesn't have to be an experience where you go through life beating yourself up. Many people will kick the bucket, croak, punch their ticket, check out without ever looking at any of this. So, high five to all of you for being brave to look at, okay, how am I wired? How can I change that? So, there's, I'm sure you're familiar with the term mindfulness or be present, be in the now, like all of these statements. And those are great, but how the hell do you do it? So tonight I'm going to give you some of that. How the hell you do it? And also encourage you to keep that right. It's your right brain. Keep it open to the possibility when your brain, your left brain, which is the sabotaging side, comes up and says, "Oh, yeah, everybody else on the call, but not you." Like when that little shows up, you're going to be like, "Oh, yes, me, because I'm on this call." So your left brain is beautiful for analytical stuff, for making it to that doctor's appointment on time, for doing your balancing your checkbook, if you still do those things, reconciling your accounts, we call it now, instead of balancing your check, for figuring out how to set up a room, like what's going to fit in a room. I do not have that skill. I do have that. I did not get that gift. It's beautiful, but it's also where the sabotaging behaviors grab hold because your left brain only really understands fear. It doesn't understand empathy. It doesn't have joyful feelings. And the majority of people, I think, well intentioned, but are raised to be practical and to be do this because it makes sense. Don't listen to that heartfelt, creative, intuitive side of you. Well, energy is changing. Thankfully, because of souls like you, universal energy is shifting. And we're leaning a little bit more into that intuition, that knowing, that place of, I don't have all the proof, but I'm going to step forward anyway. I'm so excited. I feel like the universal energies are finally catching up to where I've been living for 30 years. And I'm like, "Ah, thank you. It's gonna feel a little bit more like home to a lot of you, especially those, and I think everybody on this call is very highly sensitive and has maybe an antenna that goes a little bit higher. And that leads to being impacted a bit more from psychic energy and from stress and other people's ickiness. It's just there. So, part of my desire is to help you understand that this right brain of yours actually does the majority of living, and we've been led to believe the left brain is where it's at. And this is all backed up by white papers, major studies at Oxford and Stanford, and functional MRIs and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to read those to you right now. The idea of becoming more aware of the voice that comes up and says you can't, and spending 8 weeks paying attention to it and shifting, and I'm gonna tell you how to shift it, is has been proven on functional MRIs to change the neural pathways in brains. So, it does take about 8 weeks. So, and when I say 8 weeks, it's not 8 weeks like this, it's 8 weeks like, caught you," and then you avoid it for a week because your brain's going to your left brain's gonna say, "Let's not do that." That's called growing and changing, and that scares the heebie-jeebies out of me. So, as you listen to that side when you listen to that side of you're just not ready, just study a little bit more. No, don't take that risk because you don't have enough information. Sometimes that's a good thing, and we call that discernment. Like, bring discernment into your decision making. But if your brain comes in immediately and says, not you, that's for others, that's that sabotaging voice. And you just learn over time to listen to the supportive side. So imagine what your life could or would look like if you gave yourself the permission to listen to pay attention to the voice that's coming up to say, that's not possible, and then do a simple exercise for 10 seconds that puts you back over into the right, that puts you into the right brain. So imagine what that would feel like. Just take a second. We don't really have too many minutes, but take a second and feel the cluster energy of stress. Okay. Feel into that. Let's not spend too much time there. And now each of you, starting to warm up here. All your energy in the room, my ears get red. My start to it's not menopause. It's like energy in the room. So Now, each of you take a moment and look around your space that you're in. I would love for you to pick a color that calls to you. If you're looking at a wall that doesn't have a lot of color in it, bring up an image of your favorite flower. Focus in on that color, only that color. Look at that color. Amazing. My eyes are picking. I'm pretty amazing. Look at my brain go. Cool. All right. Now come back to the space. Take a nice deep breath. You all just shifted your neural pathways that quickly. We do not have to dig into this stuff and feel everything and delve into every emotion. It actually sets you back when you do that. But something like that, focusing on a color and only the color, your brain needs 10 seconds. I usually recommend 20, which is what we did. I'm a little bit of an overachiever, but I also like the fact that if I shoot for 20, I might get 10 seconds of actual focus, right? Because we all have a little bit of squirrel brain. Squirrels are cute. So imagine what your life could feel like if you were occupying that space that felt calmer, that felt exciting, that felt possible. That's the connection of your soul. That energy, and you can practice after this. I realize I'm moving quickly, but that's the energy of your soul. Every one of our souls is like, let's do this. I don't know what this is, but let's do it. Every one of our souls was excited to come into human form, just absolutely thrilled. So when you access and you allow your actual gray matter to shift, you're saying to your whole being, oh, we are aligned. Like, we got this. I'm working from my intuitive self and I'm using my beautiful, beautiful brain. So I would love for you right now to write something down, one thought or belief that you feel has been holding you back or getting in your way or stumbling you. Okay. So we all have a wise self in here. Like we all have one on board. So if we take that same practice of that you did when in picking a color or thinking of a flower, you take that same practice and let's put that attention towards meeting, hearing, intuiting, feeling that wise self of yours. And this wise self of yours lives about a year out. Okay. So January 8th or 9th, if some of you have shifted off into the next day, 2025. What would that wise self say about this thought or belief? Does your wife self, does your wise self believe it to be true? It's okay if your wise self a year out is like, I don't know, Vicky. What the heck are you asking me here? With some more intentional practice of connecting with that or the color in the room or feeling the fingers of one hand and you just become so connected with those fingers like you've never met your fingers in the way that you're connecting with them for these 10 seconds. If you did that 2 or 3 times a day, you would start creating neural pathways that when I ask the question in 2 months, what's that wiser self say to you? Or how's it feel about that belief? You'd be like, what belief? what belief? Now, there might be another belief that shows up. So, as we grow and as we expand, and as humans, we are always, always going to have that critic in your head. So, there are some teachings that say get rid of the ego. Not possible, my friends. Not possible. Your ego is your human self. It's the most beautiful thing. It tells you to ask that person out. It says go for that job. It says take that kickboxing class. Guess what Vicky just signed up for? That part of us, though, when balanced, is in full support of our success, of our joy. So if you did that practice 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 2 or 3 times a day of focusing in on feeling your fingers, on picturing that color. One of my favorite ones is to listen for the furthest sound out and then the closest sound, because your brain can't tell you it doesn't believe in yourself if it's focusing on these other things. And it's not just a distraction method. The neural pathways get rewired and we start pulling energy from this grid, the left brain grid, and applying it to the right brain. Anyone want to guess where the intuitive portion of your brain lives? Right here. So if you put your finger right up on your right hand, your right brain, your right hand side, just up from the outer edge of your eyeball, right there. That wiring, give it a little massage, open it up. That wiring is where intuitive hits come from. Okay. So we want to activate that. We want to make it light up. And it doesn't mean that you have to go sit in meditation for hours and hours a day, but it does mean that you have to take some energy from that left brain and bring it over to the right brain. Okay. Let's leave the left brain for making appointments for the oil change, or things like that. Okay. So, an idea of shifting that's possible is when your brain says, I'm not ready, or you're not capable, or who do you think you are? Any of those limiting belief systems are just that, they're BS. So any of those thoughts, just shift it to, I'm not ready, I'm not capable, I'm learning. I don't know what I don't know. I'm curious, I'm excited. Empathy and curiosity live right behind the intuitive brain, the intuitive section of the brain. It's not the whole brain, but they live right behind it. So when you start mapping out this wiring and stop feeling like a victim of your thought process or of your past, and you realize, wait a minute, I can change this with these simple methods. Yeah, you actually can. So if you look at yourself a year from now, write down, this is not about New Year's resolutions, by the way. If you picture yourself, I think they're resolutions, they're just bunk. But if you picture yourself a year from now, activating this supportive side of your head, I would love for you to write down 2, maybe 3, if you get all excited and creative. Feelings, not things you want to accomplish. What feelings do you want to have towards yourself? How do you want to feel about the you a year from now? Okay. Those that perception that you have in there or that desire, that you have to feel that, it's already in you. It's already there. Like, you already made that cake, we just gotta stick it in the oven. All right? So, it's already there. You would not be able to come up with those concepts or those ideas if it didn't already exist in you. And if you need more time to contemplate this later, fabulous. This the same is going to be true. Right? Like that, you're still anything that we come up with or we think of that we'd like to have about ourselves or we aspire to have, if you can come up with a concept, if your brain comes up, you already have the capability. You may have to put in the action. You do have to put in the action. I'd be a lousy coach if I didn't say it that way. But you do have to put in the action. And I really would love for you to hear that self-command and that ability and that belief in self comes from things that can be 10, 20 seconds long, maybe a couple times a day. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of visualization. Vicky's going to turn her heat off so she doesn't combust on video. So just a quick, if you want to go off video, feel free to, but I'm going to be looking at the script I wrote and not necessarily your closed, beautiful faces. Closed eyes, beautiful faces. So, when I say visualization, you may feel it. You may not be a picture person, right? You may not be someone who gets a movie in their head. Fabulous. We need all kinds of energies to have this world be fun. So, think of feeling or visualizing. So, picture or consider yourself 1 year from now with self surety, calmness, and enjoy. What does that feel like? What have you experienced over this beautiful 2025 year? Hold that vision for an inspiration for just a moment. Take a nice deep breath. Let those shoulders relax. They're not supposed to be earrings. Drop down. Thank you. Feel yourself grounded in wherever you're sitting, however you're sitting or standing. Take another nice deep breath and then resume your regular scheduled breathing. So now picture yourself in that time frame 1 year from today. Imagine you've stepped into your full potential, self-sure, calm, and radiantly joyful. See yourself standing with those shoulders relaxed and tall, smiling, joyfully radiant, with a sense of ease and self-assurance. Like, hey, I guess this human thing is supposed to be fun. Take a peek at the life you've created. What do you notice? Is there an increased joyfulness in your relationships, including the one with yourself? Do you feel a fulfillment in your work or how you are contributing to the world? Do you feel a peace within yourself? Tune into that feeling. And what words would describe it? Is there clarity, strength, excitement? Whatever's come up, just hang on to that. Now imagine this version of you reaching back to you right now, January 8th, 2024, and offering encouragement. Hear the wisdom of your soul and your future self saying, you are exactly where you need to be. And every micro movement you make is bringing us closer together. I really appreciate you for that. I mean, I think you have to admit the future you's rather cool, right? And you have that within the now you. And you might just need your brain to help you believe that. It's cool. So take one more deep breath. Come on, all the way to your toes. You can do it. Feels like a couple of you need another one. Take another deep breath. Shake it out. And when you're ready, come on back and bring that feeling with you back to today. Bring it back with you. Come on. Job. So many people limit their brilliance in believing what others have said, you know, what our own selves have said, rather than knowing that this mush that's inside your skull is capable of shifting and it doesn't have to be a big lift. It really does not have to be hard. It just needs to be consistent. And the more consistently you honor this brain that you have and you really give credit to self, the more you're going to connect in with that soul knowledge and that intuitiveness. Because the more clutter we clear in how we talk to ourselves and how we feel about ourselves, your psychic abilities through the roof, through the absolute roof. There's a lot of clutter in there. You're not going to hear any guidance. You're not going to feel any guidance. It just can't get through the static. It just can't. You might get glimpses, but it won't be reliable or what I call on demand. Like it won't be there in your everyday experience in every interaction that you have. So part of aligning your mind is actually connecting with the idea it's not against you. Your brain is not working against you, but you do want to encourage this right side of empathy and curiosity and innovation and, yeah, activation. You know how the left brain, it gets a lot of credit for focused action plans, all of this stuff? It actually doesn't come from the left brain. The left brain is really good at helping us put that plan on paper, but the right brain is what carries it through in action. And if you're in any kind of doubt or fear, it's hard to move forward, right? That's where you get that message of, "Oh, I'm just not ready." It's like, but you are. You came up with the idea, you're ready. What's the one step you can take to move forward? Now, I would not have you even think about that one step to move forward until you've done that rep. It's called a PQ rep of staring at something, or you can do breath, connect with your breath. But I find if you're in anybody I've ever worked with, it seems pretty disrespectful if somebody's in an anxious or a worried space to tell them to take a breath. I mean, I just, I think the whole self-help psychology world has missed the boat on that one because I don't know about you, but as soon as somebody tells me to breathe, I'm like, I don't know how. I forgot how. So any other mindful action you can come up with, you're holding a cup of coffee. How warm is that cup? That will get your brain over. Make no decisions or take any action from that side of the left brain of the doubt. Okay. And since your intuition lives in your right brain, I just want to jump over there as much as possible. I realize this is very quick, very fast, and just tossing a bunch of stuff at you, but it really is this easy. We've been led to believe that we have to do our work and we have to dig deep and we have to understand everything that's ever happened to us or what was the lesson, what was the message. It doesn't matter. doesn't matter. How are you feeling towards yourself? Are you loving yourself? And are you taking the actionable step to shift that voice in your head so it quiets? As a human, we are always going to have that survival voice, but wouldn't it be lovely if it showed up in those moments where it said, "Car coming, don't step forward," or "No, you know that gives you heartburn. Don't order it off the menu again." That's where our left brain is beautiful, but we've been living too much in it. So I'm gonna shut up now. And if you have a question, you can put it in chat. You can put it directly to me if you don't want it, and I'll do a generic answer. But if you have any other questions about how to do this further, or what are the benefits of all of this, feel free, raise your hand, or just wave. I can see everybody. Hey, how are you? No question? Look at you geniuses. Okay. So obviously, I have a 7-week program. It's 8. Don't tell anybody. Actually ends up being 8. Of walking you through this to get you from one side of the MRI to the other. You don't have to go get an MRI, but I want everyone to have this information. So the basis of it is go take that assessment, read up on your saboteurs, okay? And so an example of the saboteur, I'll give you my top 3. What are my top 3? Hang on. I happen to have retaken it. So my top 3, avoider is my top 1, restless and hyperachiever. So all of our saboteurs are really our superpowers. Okay. So as the avoider shows up in just what it says, right? Like, I'll do that later. Oh, I'll get around to it whenever. Avoider and hyperachiever have my head spinning sometimes, honestly. I'm like, go left, go right. What are we doing? But the avoider, when I'm balanced and grounded and I'm doing these exercises, I'm easygoing, I'm flexible, not too much bothers me. I have really good boundaries and I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Right. But when I'm listening to the critic, my avoider will have me not do the bookkeeping or not email somebody back or all those things that aren't beneficial for my life. Right. So the restless saboteur um, has me go do laundry instead of finishing something. I love doing laundry. If anybody has laundry, they need to. I find it very relaxing in that instant gratification. The machines do all the work. It's not like it's hard, but thankfully there's always barn clothes to wash. So, but there's plenty of laundry happening. So the restlessness keeps me distracted and not actually focused on the stuff I would love to do. Restless when it's not out of balance, I have tons of energy. I have stamina. I can go without coffee, even though I love my coffee. I have a curiosity about this world that sometimes makes it difficult to sleep. So it's fun, it's engaging, right? But when, again, I'm listening to the critic or, the leftover parent voices, or I have 7 siblings, so there's plenty of data in there. If I'm listening to that, I am not happy. It's not about getting things done. It's about not being happy. So there are the judge, the critic, the inner biatch, and there are 9 others. So we all have every one of them. Aren't we sweet in that way? We just, because of personality or life experience, will lean a little bit more towards a few top ones. It's usually 3 or 4 that show up. So there's also hyperachiever, as I mentioned, which you would think that means you get a lot done, but you actually don't. You just spin in circles. Achiever gets things done, focused, driven, love a list, Oh my goodness, do I love a list. There's the stickler, who you can tell from the term, right? The stickler, everything must be just right, and usually their way. But a stickler who's balanced, most detail oriented, amazing people, your event planners, some sticklers out there. People who are able to pull together a party. Yeah, that's not me. I'm like, just bring a dish. We'll have fun once you get here. So the pleaser, which a lot of empathic people end up falling into that role of people pleasing, you've heard, right? Like the pleaser wants everybody to be okay and to the exclusion of themselves. But then that runs to resentment, right? But a pleaser, when balanced, is some of the sweetest people you've ever met. Like some of the most gifted direct care people are pleasers. But when it's out of balance, it then can be lead to resentment and burnout, really, because that's exhausting. A lot of clairsentient, empathic people end up high on the pleaser list. Hyper rational, the name's kind of there. But the gifts of the hyper rational is deep insight. They can go really deep into a situation and kind of pull out the nuances that, someone like myself who are a little bit more like, go for it, wouldn't necessarily see or care about. So the deep insights, there's gifts in all of this, right? So just like there's a gift in your left brain, it's just where we feeding. It's like, that parable, the two wolves that you're feeding. And that's the same of our brain. Controller, again, in the name, not necessarily controlling of other people. These are all things that happen within us, right? So the controller might feel like everything's just too chaotic and it's stressful and anxiety and all that if things aren't lined up just right. But a controller in balance are some of the best accountants you've ever met. I mean, it's even in the name, in the professionalism, right? Controller can create clarity from chaos. So we all have, again, all of this within us. It's like, where are you? How are you supporting? All of this gets programmed in childhood. This is not a blame game at all. I don't play that game, but this is where it gets installed in us, right? And you can have the most idyllic childhood and you're still going to have saboteurs because you're a Homo sapien. And we still have this brain that's evolving. Our energy evolves, our spirit evolves, our brains are slower. Technology evolves. Our poor little brains are like, working on just a slower. We used to evolve as spiritual beings. We would have to croak to evolve. Like even back 50 years, this was not a long time ago. We would have to check out and get a new incarnation for your brain to evolve. And thankfully, we came up to a certain level, believe it or not, of evolution. Sometimes there's still a lot of knuckle draggers, but up to a certain level of evolution where we don't have to croak anymore to get that upgrade, which is also why it seems like life can be really challenging because your whole being remembers when it got to a point of big growth, just checking out and being like, peace. I'm going to do this in the non-physical. And now we're sticking around. Yay, us, right? So there's two more. Let me just cover them. Victim, we all have. And that's exactly as it says, like, it's good. I get attention by the woe is me. Mm, it brings me a feeling of validity to kind of suffer through life. The people who are like, nothing's easy. And in that story they have probably ranked pretty high in victim. And you can have empathy for that. And then hypervigilant. which, but victim personalities, victim saboteurs, also deep self introspection, like able to really go in, but when it's out of balance, they get caught in there and it's difficult to come out. So I bring this up because that 10-second or 20-second thing that we did with the focus can shift you from whatever saboteur's on board over into your wisdom, your intuition in just that small movement. Okay. So when you're feeling this come up in yourself at any place, just go there. Just go there and have some humor around it. Oh, there we go. I call my restless Reba because I would never yell at Reba McEntire because I love her. But you got to know she's got restless energy, right? So when that shows up in me, I'm like, Reba, I know you want to wander around and run around, but we got to get this done. Like these taxes are due or whatever. Does it ever happen that a person needs to develop a saboteur as an aid versus leaping forward without thought? Develop a saboteur as an aid. Can I unmute you and ask? Can you unmute you? Turns out I don't have the power.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm a leap. You know me. I like leap into things, and I'm always in these kind of questions about, they call them different things, right? Saboteur, but they might be called a different, like board members, different things. And I don't really have them. So, I mean, I know I have one or two, but I find that I sometimes I think I need them. Like it would be helpful to, instead of just leaping forward and doing something, you know, to maybe have a saboteur. None said, like, I don't want to call it a saboteur, but like a person that sort of walks you through, maybe don't leap, you know,
Mhm.
think this one through, pause for a second.
Okay. I promise you, you have saboteurs because you're human, but they may not be as in charge, right? Like you through whatever work you've done, because yes, absolutely. Call it saboteur, call it critic, call it doubt, whatever, boogeyman, they're all pretty much the same. So we all have them as an aid versus moving forward. No, no, what you would do there is just lean more into into the wisdom of it. So what that would look like to me, Jess, is the restless. Like I would read the restless description and be like, maybe I do. And then because what you're talking about is more of a self-command and more of a pause, like love the pause, take a pause, and then practice discernment. It may not be that the voice is beating you up or holding you back, but it's true that some of the saboteurs, especially the restless, will push us to something new to keep us distracted from what might really have needed attention. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So, the more playful we can get around this idea that our brain is both working for us and against us, the less painful this human experience will be. And that's really what I want to bring to everybody is a joyfulness and a humor around who we are. And when you learn about them, it's kind of fun because you will also recognize them in others. Don't judge others. We judge ourselves, others, and circumstances. But when you are able to recognize it, you can have empathy for that person, or like my partner and I, when you do the assessment, like his top saboteur, I have a zero. I have none. I don't even rank in it. So I'm like, oh. And that could look like I have no clue what you're talking about and I could be dismissive. But what it's done is it's helped me have more empathy and to lean into, wow, okay, that seems like it would be really challenging to live with that saboteur full time. And let's do some reps because you don't get away with it just because you know what they are in my house.
You actually have to do the work. So, all right. This was a lot of information. I tend to do that for those of you attending first time. I tend to throw a lot out there. I have tried to dial myself back, but once I get in to these things, I have. I always have a plan in front of me, but the group energy always determines where I go. So I don't even know why I plan anymore, but it gives me the illusion of sensibility, I guess. So once you take the assessment, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. It's Vicky@VickyBaird.com. It's really easy. If you have any questions about it, or if you'd like to know, like, what else could I do to help with this? Because it's rather fascinating, and it's also where the practice of psychology and intuition and science combining with psychic skills is happening. That's why I love it, because it's a little bit of both. And that's like talk about alignment. So thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Another couple months, there'll be another one. And I'll try to maybe have less blah at you, but you're capable of it. You can handle it. And it was recorded. If you like the recording, just shoot me a quick email and we'll send it out. We're not going to blanket email it because it is a big file, but if you'd like it, let me know and I'll send it out to you. So thank you for those of you who are here really late in the night. Good night. Sleep well. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I appreciate you being here. If you would like more information about developing your intuitive skills, removing those blocks, and creating the life that feels the most successful to you, then head on over to VickyBaird.com. That's VickyBaird.com. And check out the courses, the groups, and the Spaces app that will allow you to be part of our community and know about upcoming events and specials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.